Welcome back to Lightmatter. I'm back here. I'm roughly at the same spot, like 10 seconds prior to when I ended it off in the dev commentary, so we can start listening to that. I've clicked on Lux, heard him meow, and I also have some questions about what's happening here. Let's just, just look at how weird this is. I've realized that I don't think glass works like glass in this game. I don't think light beams going through glass is something that is just like, oh, it just does that because it's glass. It's not coded like that. I think it's just they manually add in which surfaces or walls have light collision or something like that, and all the normal walls have that, so that's why it gets cut off. But the glass windows mostly don't, but here it seems like they've kind of skipped that, which is a little bit weird. I'll just shut up and play the dev commentary and move around a bit, and just look at how weird this is, how why is this not connecting? Why is it not connecting to this? It's like there's a line here or something where things just don't connect, and it's really strange. So, here we go.
But I think we managed, the mock review, we really pushed through it, and that was probably the roughest time writing this, because it took some of the fun out of it, because we made each other laugh earlier, and we made the team laugh, and all of a sudden, this doesn't work very well externally. But I think what we did from there was really punch up the jokes. Also made some structural changes, like adding Ellen.
Which made it I do think we did the right call there.
I think I'm really glad we got that mock review, although it was tough.
Yeah.
But maybe we should talk a bit about our how it is to co-write something.
Oh yeah.
So our process, because I've been with this story for a long time. I started from the ground up, basically. I knew I have an idea of what we need and where we're going. Whereas Clive, he's really good at going into details and writing something super funny and interesting. Yeah. When you came in, the main needs were making it funnier, but also making Virgil a bit more believable, verbose. Sound more like a really intelligent CEO.
What we'd go through is Benjamin would look through the script, find out okay, this needs punching up this, and then I would just write 5 different versions of it, and then together we'd figure out which one was the best one, or just mix and match some of these lines as well together. Right?
In the beginning it was very much me outlining everywhere. Okay, here he should talk about this. That would be fine. And then after you wrote versions, we kind of went back and forth and wrote modifications to it. But later on we started we kind of developed a style and a language for Virgil. And that we felt really confident with. So once we had that, we kind of shared that ability to write Virgil.
Definitely.
So I would also just run off and write some stuff, and then you would come in and we made some out of it. So more and more, I also moved away from just outlining. But because we just got so confident with Virgil.
We did. It was a really nice process.
And then we that said, when you came in, we also knew that we were gonna have David Bateson as a voice actor, and that also helped tremendously.
It did.
Don't think anything is here.
Actually, think okay.
But this was fun
with his timbre in mind, right?
Make some really dry humor because his voice is just so suitable for it. And then from then on, that was the first month we had to write something for the first recording, but we kept on iterating on the script a year from then. And
I guess at this point we just wait here for 7 minutes.
You came in once in a while. I kept writing on the script, and you came in and helped me.
Don't crash, please.
And we made sure together that we both liked what was going on.
Exactly. And it was nice, and and as we worked, like other people also in the team had some feedback.
Yeah.
For example, the James coming in at the last minute to save you, that was actually Lester that came up with that idea.
Yeah.
And we loved
Amazing
it.
idea.
Yeah, really good, really good.
And I think that's a good example of like if you get your team passionate about the story, you know, that's a super great help because they can come up with ideas themselves and add to it, and it feels more like a unified thing. And I think I'm really glad we went that direction. Because you know, as I mentioned, some of these other developer commentaries, coming up with a story that the whole team likes is probably the biggest challenge. Getting everyone on board.
Yeah, definitely. So like to finish this off, right? If we have time, do you want to like go through like your favorite line, like like my favorite line, and I've said this to Benjamin before, is like I can't remember what level this is, but like try to rise above being a rat in a maze or something to that effect. Yeah. So what about yours?
I just before that, like I remember the story behind that line. Like we talked about what does this level look like? You know, it's just a level with a bunch of doors, and it kind of feels like a labyrinth or a maze or something like that.
Yeah.
And I just ended up saying like try writing something about mazes. I have to move on. Like, it's really quick. And then you went home and you thought about it all like in the evening and stuff like that, and you came back the next day like, okay, that's pretty funny.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and like it was so good, so good. Anyway, you.
I'm a bit split between two.
Yeah.
I gotta say two. I'm sorry.
No, that's fair.
Like the first one being I'm limited by my body but not my mind. As you have the opposite problem, you'll play a part in this.
Yeah. Like the line we built Virgil on, right?
Yeah. Because that line was just written out of. It was just so a coincidence in a way. Like we didn't even try to write anything funny. It's just he's explaining the plan, and then we wrote like the whole like his whole plan for what to do next, like with the lever and all that. I was like, I just need to add a little more, just make it a little more lighthearted, and then all of a sudden it was a joke that made the whole company laugh.
Nice.
And that's kind of like, then we decided, okay, we need this joke everywhere. But also the other thing was when I accidentally said to Philip in the company, because he you know, when writing Virgil, it's easy to become like Virgil. Like he gets stuck in your head, you know.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of writers talk about this.
Yeah.
But
really quick, like my girlfriend doesn't allow me to do Virgil voice anymore because she just hates it so badly.
but even though you don't do the voice, it comes out in the way that you say things. You just say things to people that are insulting, like without you having that intention. So at some point, like Philip came home from a conference, and he was just like, man, it's so I have to go to another conference and network with people, and I mean that's his job, right? He kind of loves it, but he I just remember I was sitting there programming or writing or something like that, and then I just said, wow, man, I would hate my life if I were you. And then you know, everyone just laughed, and in that moment I was kind of like serious about it. I was like, but I would that would suck.
Yeah, definitely.
But I just didn't see it as an insult.
No. It was a factual statement.
And then we had to
like really back and forth if we like were to include that line.
I'm so glad you convinced me to keep it. Yeah. Man, like I remember there was like, that's also another thing, like listening to different voices in the company, because you know, everyone has their opinion about something, and we show our writing to everyone. And there was like one or two people who thought that line was a bit teenagey and childish, and that's fair. I kind of see that. Yeah. But it also triggered a really strong reaction with some people.
I went to bat for that line.
What line? I kind of lost track.
Line, so like who cares if people don't think it's a bit teenagey? It's like, no, it's a good line, and it stands for itself.
I even tried to. I mean, it does come a bit out of nowhere, but I think that's kind of the charm of it.
It is.
And I even tried like making him more intelligent with it. You know, like I would despise my existence if I were you. But that even sounded even more teenagey, because like I'm coming up with fancy.
So he accidentally said this to the CEO that was like going around to conferences and stuff, and they put this as a line that Virgil tells the player? Am I understanding that? Because yeah, I'm just kind of lost here. I kind of lost track. This feels like a very private conversation that I don't even know. I'll mention it more. We're almost done, so let's just continue listening.
Words just to...
yeah, that's true.
I think that was a feedback you gave, and okay, let's just stick with it. You know? And also another, like, I think a good, you've written a good line when you keep rereading the script and you get to the line, like, that's pretty great. Then you just know you shouldn't mess with it. You shouldn't change it.
That's true. And we had that a lot, like, in the last, like, when we were rewriting, like, no, rereading, like, the last bit, yeah.
And do you remember, like, how, like, even before the Aim Assist review, that we reread the script, and we were, like, every time we reread the script, we were like, this is great. Yeah, like we did, right? But like also, like we had that in the context of like budget cuts as well, right? Or budget limitations, because at that point we couldn't really afford to have Ellen with us, right? And so like I was really, really happy with it because like, of course there are things that could be done better, right? But the thing is, like, we didn't have money for it, so I was like, yes, this is amazing. I think like we're happy with what we had before the Aim Assist review, but like that it just gave a whole new perspective, and we're even happier with it now.
No, that's true, and also like that goes to show the benefit of having actual like industry veterans looking at your stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because playtesters, like we've tried so much getting playtesters in to talk about or to give feedback on the story, but they really focus on gameplay. That's the thing that.
Hi, that's me as well. I mean, it's the same here. I don't really think too much about the story. I guess I'll talk more about this once we're done.
Other game developers I know, they always talk about that playtesters rarely talk about story.
Yeah, but actually, like, we were talking about this as well. Like, I actually said this, like, dude, will they even ever like actually listen to the story? Like, because like a lot of the times, right? Like people, but then again, like. I said like, yeah, but like the things like you're watching them while they're playing. Yeah. So like I think they're just focusing on like not looking stupid.
Yeah, but
right?
The thing is, then we even tried an approach where we allowed them to play it at home, and then I would come and have an interview with them. Still, they didn't listen to the story.
Yeah, well, like, that's fair.
Really, Virgil? Who's that? Who's Arthur? Never heard of those people.
Yeah, exactly. I had Metallic in the background while I played the game.
Exactly. That's big like. But that's how it is with game development.
yeah, it is. Yeah, and I was like really happy about the positive response with the story. I must say that felt nice.
Yeah. All right. So you mean after release?
After release, yeah,
exactly. So I think that's it.
That's it. Sweet.
Great. Yeah. Okay. So as I was saying, that felt kind of like more of a private conversation that they were just like kind of just chatting amongst themselves, and it was kind of hard to follow along with exactly what they were talking about because I wasn't really sure exactly what they were referring to at any given time, even though they obviously knew what they were referring to amongst themselves and stuff. I don't know, it's just also very long-winded or long-winded, which is it? I don't even know. Just it got a little rambly, and again, just they're kind of saying the same things over and over, just talking about how great the story is and how great everything was and how great it was to work and great. I don't know. I can't say I got too much out of this one. And then they did talk about the playtesters and they didn't pay attention to the story and stuff. And as I said, that's me. But then they go on to say like, they don't pay attention at all. They just like focus only on the game. I mean, I'm not a playtester, but like I try to pay attention to the story as well. It's just, I can't say that this story really spoke to me in any way, especially since, like I've said, just the like mixing between the gameplay and the story is kind of, there is none. It's just, the story happens and you're just playing a game at the same time. It doesn't feel like you're really part of the story to me. It doesn't feel like you have anything to do with anything that happens here, and you don't have any choices, and there's you don't really get the... I've said all this before, and I think my view of the story was clear when I just had finished the game the first time, because now I'm just listening to dev commentary, and I don't remember exactly everything that's being said, but it's just, it doesn't feel like you get enough motivation to blue screen. There was no motivation to blue screen, and yet it happened anyway. I don't really know what I was saying. I was talking about the story, and there was no focus, there was no motivation to side with, or to oppose Virgil, rather, and side with Ellen and Arthur, where he comes into the picture, and whatever. And again, one of the main issues is all the holes that are left open. Like, you don't know what's gonna happen. You don't know for sure that Virgil is wrong, and that, like, things would be catastrophical if this fails. He could be right, and it might kill a couple thousand people, but give humanity infinite energy forever, and that would just be a good thing. Like, it would be worth that sacrifice, at least according to many people, myself included, I suppose. But beyond that, I don't know. Blue screen kind of threw me off. I don't know what I was talking about. I don't think the game's story and world is interwoven in such an amazing way, in like a perfect way, as maybe they feel themselves. I mean, it's their baby. It's like they've been working on this for years. Obviously, they're very attached to it. But like they said, that's why you get external feedback. And they got a review that wasn't, or like they had actual critics that kind of trashed it because they weren't happy with the story. And I mean, I guess they improved it. And again, it's not, I don't hate the story. I don't think it's bad. It's just like, it didn't really connect with me as much as something like Portal or whatever. But even Portal, I'm not, like, I don't think back on Portal and think, man, what a great story that really, like, moved me emotionally. But I don't really think that's what a puzzle game needs to do always. Like, the story is nice, and a good story is a good story, but, you know, for me anyway, when you have a puzzle platformer, the actual puzzling and platforming, the mechanics are kind of the more important part. But I guess that's up for debate, like which aspect of a game is the focus, really, if any, or maybe all of them are. But yeah, I also just wanted to mention, I should have mentioned this last time, but they've been talking about these level names, and I think all of the devlogs are just titled based on the level name. Like, that's just the name of the level. Is that correct? Because I don't really know. They keep referring to the level names as if the players know the level names. But these two finally said, like, oh, the players don't know that. They don't know what the level is called. And one guy was like, oh, right, yeah. Can't talk about the level names. But the last one was called Triforce, I guess because there's, like, the mother and then the two pylons or whatever. And you have to make use of all three in a chain to get to the end or something. I guess that's why it's called that. But yeah, just kind of weird. I feel like you should just have the titles in maybe just the escape menu. Like, if you press escape while you're in a level, it should say in, like, the top right or something, you are in this level. Or if you have the speedrun stats on, it shouldn't just say, you're in level 23. It should say, you're in level 23, name of level as well. But that's just a little tiny nitpick, I suppose. Anyway, I've lost track of time, and we'll just have to see. I'm gonna check this devlog. We'll see if it's, like, massive. I might not listen to all of it, but if it's, like, a 5 to 10 minute thing, I'll probably squeeze it in. So let's see. That's fine.
So this level puzzle, whatever you want to call it, I don't know if you can call it a puzzle.
It's the quiet guy again.
It's a bit different from the rest of the levels in the game. It was one of the actually easiest ones to design and implement, because it solves itself
Red Bull?
as soon as you
not a sponsor
going through it. Of course, there was some designing the alignments of objects that had...
Good lord, because I blue screened? No, my volume is 100%, my headphones are at 100%, my audio here, 100%. This is just so goddamn fucking quiet. I can't stop saying that. I can't stop bitching about it. It's just so absurd to me. It's completely ridiculous. Oh man. Just for reference, in like the other series I'm playing right now, Mythic Ocean, which by the way I'm loving, if you want to check that out, I'm super engaged in that game. That game I record and then turn down the audio for that track by 20 decibel, minus 20 decibel, and it's like a good level. This I've been having at 0, and it's still like when I have it at 0, they sound roughly the same volume as I do. And that's just, it's completely nonsense to me. Okay, fine. That's it. I'll stop bitching about audio levels. I'm sorry.
To align correctly for you to connect beams and so on, but once we kind of made it and tested it internally, we found out that it's...
Oh, shit.
It had something that the others didn't have. It had a lot of kind of exploration and connecting and disconnecting beams, like all of a sudden. Like this flow almost...
I can make
when
that.
they're set up correctly, you almost flow through the level and you can't really place the connectors wrongly after that. It is a walk in the park or a walk in the office once it's set up correctly. Yeah, so it was actually a piece of cake to make this one. It had a different setting at one point, but like trying to get it into our what it is now, and like an office area. It was we needed actually some things to block the light beam at certain places. That's where we came up with the cubicle walls, for instance.
I remember that like
this part,
we didn't have much variation in the lab levels, and seeing these cubicles in this office was really a new step.
Yeah, and they were great because the cubicle walls because they don't fit into the system of modularity, but you could place them wherever you wanted, and we could place them exactly where we wanted. And that was
like
that was
here?
important for this level.
Oh god,
it had to be aligned correctly, as I said earlier, for it to work. Some other levels, like in the game, weren't as easy to like figure out and implement. But luckily, Matthias, a guy who was part of the development for the first couple of years, he was really good at taking a very bare puzzle idea
here
to find the interesting parts and really find what was interesting in puzzles.
Yeah, and especially the puzzles that were made by us programmers that that really had a hard time with framing, and the puzzles were really ugly. He was good at kind of making them more readable and by framing stuff.
Yeah. He was also our primary tester for a long time, so he tested on people outside the company. So he got a first-hand glance at what worked and what didn't work in puzzles. So he had a benefit of that knowledge and could quickly, change up things. Sometimes
I don't do that,
also
do I?
Like changes to the others of us in the company to look at it, for instance. But it really sped up the process of finding good pacing and good puzzles for the game. And then once we had that, we stringing them together in the pace and making them into levels to what they are now was the next step. And it was one big collaboration, really.
I think it's I just thought of when you talked about the cubicles, how there is actually a visual artifact in that the light beams, they shine through the cubicles. And the funny reason for that is that the light beams, they work on a different lighting system. Like they're area lights. And because our shadow system is very specific to spotlights, it was just too much work to implement that for these custom area lights. Because otherwise we have a rule in our game where all walls have a certain thickness. But sometimes we've broken that rule, and we didn't notice until afterwards. but like no one has pointed it out.
Yeah.
Is this
So
fine?
it basically meant the thickness of the wall would cover up that the light was shining through,
Exactly.
like the wall panels.
Yeah,
and-
because the light doesn't cast
Yeah.
shadows. The
Yeah.
light beam light, at least. Yeah.
Huh.
And another fun
I
fact.
don't
is
even
that,
remember doing that.
like the dialogue in this level, I think we kind of use that as a rule of thumb or like a reference for how to like develop humor in the game, because when we wrote the whole script very bare, like with not a lot of humor, just like with the key information that we want to convey to the player, and we had a hard time like developing the humor of the game, but this level we just randomly stumbled upon the joke. Like we just came up with it while explaining to the player what the mission was, where Virgil says that I'm limited by my body but not my mind, so I wasn't able to get around the obstacles. As you have the opposite problem, you'll play a part in this. And it was just, it triggered something like in the whole company where like that was the main joke that people laughed at. And I think the reason why it works is because it's just it's a really subtle jab. Like it's like a really subtle insult. And
Is it
an
subtle?
intelligent insult. And it fit for like this elitist CEO guy. So we just used that, like we just kept looking at that joke when we started spicing up the whole, like all the dialogue, trying to make it funnier. We kept looking at this one.
Was that before? Because I think to remember that this was one of the first
Burger?
lines that David recorded, right?
Yeah,
And
we
I think
used
it was also his delivery of it that
Yeah.
really made us laugh.
Yeah.
So was it before he came onto it, or did you spot the?
It was
The
before he
humor
came. It was before we had chosen a voice actor.
Okay.
That so we had these 3 auditions, and this was the first line they were supposed to say aloud, because we knew that was what we were going for. And I think his dryness just made it work.
He delivers it well.
Yep.
They sure are attached to that one line. I mean, as I said, I can't really say that I think it's a very subtle jab. I think it's pretty obvious what he's saying, but I mean, it's a good line, I guess. Can I please, like, get some clonking going on? Virgil, can you, like, bitch at me for kicking this around? Oh, well, now it's gone. I guess not. Still don't know what that is. But anyway, yeah, I think that's all I can do today. Coffee.
Do you want to hear a secret?
Sure.
Aperture Science.
Okay,
has
yeah,
an
it's
artificial
this thing again.
intelligence prototype.
Just
They
a second.
tested it by having it create the perfect cake recipe.
Don't mind me.
But the first
They talked about the
iteration
cake.
of
There
that
was an
recipe
achievement. I'm not going to do that now. I don't have time.
as the
But
primary
there was
ingredient.
something about cake.
As a human being, I'm worried.
Alright, whatever. I'll just have to end it here. We have this thing. I wonder if there's something in this secondary, in-between room. Doesn't look like it. But maybe the cake has something to do with this level. We'll see. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.